Hi, everybody, and welcome to what we like to call the Marv Show. And despite that heartfelt portrayal by Reggie Miller, I will be appearing in the role of myself for the remainder of the program. I just wanted to make that clear because our staff, though quite dedicated, does get easily confused. In any event, the center of attention today is Reggie Miller. Always a fiery competitor, his dramatic playoff showdowns with the New York Knicks helped earn him a reputation as one of the most feared shooters of all time. But Reggie's rise to prominence began from an unlikely set of circumstances. Not only did he have to wear braces on both legs as a child just to learn how to walk, but he wasn't even the best basketball player in his family while growing up.
Well, I knew I had to change it playing against my brothers and sisters because I couldn't shoot the conventional way, either with my elbow in or when I went to start trying to shoot as I got older and stronger with my elbow in above my head, because I always continued to get my shot blocked by Cheryl and my brothers and sisters. So I had to do something. So for me to put more arc on it, I had to kind of put my elbow out a little bit and release it higher.
Reggie for three. Reggie Miller with a cold-blooded three. Miller with the forced shot, somehow got it away, and he had two defenders right in his face.
Miller for three. Yes! Miller, the ball fake. That is gorgeous.
Oh, is he amazing?
Reggie Miller with a step-back move and is able to knock it down. What a shot!
It looks like I'm a little bit deformed, but it gets the job done.
Now, your sister, Cheryl, is considered one of the greatest women basketball players of all time.
Is the greatest women basketball player of all time.
You are very close in age with Cheryl. How old were you before you could give her a game?
I really didn't start to grow till I entered high school. I was 5'9" when I entered Riverside Poly. So Cheryl was always taller than I, quicker, played much better than I did. So once I started to grow into high school, that's when I started to catch up to her in a little bit. I could always outshoot her. I just couldn't beat her in one-on-one.
Even though she was the greatest women's player of all time, did that hurt that you weren't able to beat her?
It was more motivation. You know, everywhere I went, you know, there goes Cheryl Miller's brother. I think that was motivation for me, you know?
Yeah.
On the road, at home, some of your own teammates, you know, there he goes, you know? So for me to somewhat make my own identity, I think that was a motivating factor for me to work harder.
I mean, what would go through your mind as games on the line? You had so many moments where it came down to you, and most of the time, you hit the big shot.
You know, in general, you have to be a little bit afraid of failure or you're never going to be able to succeed. But I always felt if I prepared myself well enough, I was always going to be able to give myself an advantage or an edge.
Here we go. Here's Reggie. Here's the turnaround. Here's the shot.
How about this guy? Does he love the pressure? He makes all the big shots.
McKee gets it in the middle for the win. One of the greatest clutch playoff performers of his generation has done it again.
The thing about it, I always wanted the ball. And I know a lot of guys, they talk like they want the ball, but they really don't. I don't mind having the onus on my shoulders and having the team on my shoulders. That's something that I've always wanted, which goes back to, you know, playing with Cheryl and that motivating factor of, you know, working hard and trying to break out of that shadow. I think that had a little bit to do with it as well.
Starting in 1990, Reggie Miller and the Pacers won a collective 3-12 in their first 4 trips to the NBA postseason. But Miller's reputation was forever changed when the Pacers made their first run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 1994. Now, there was another smooth shooting guard who also seemed to make the big shots while chasing an often elusive NBA title. He was the man known as Mr. Clutch, Jerry West. And we'll look back at his career when we return. Madison Square Garden has seen many great performances, and on June 1st, 1994, Reggie Miller chose that venue to produce his own personal coming-out party, one that forever altered the way fans would think of him, especially in New York. That night, Miller transformed himself from a deadly outside shooter into perhaps the game's most feared clutch player. He delivered one of the legendary and animated displays ever seen on the Garden floor. What do you remember most about that game?
Obviously, it was a pivotal Game 5. It was a swing game. And, no one really gave us a shot anyways against New York. Going into the fourth quarter, I made my first few shots, and I was going to shoot every single time I got the basketball.
Here's Miller, swings away, and hits. Once again, hits from downtown. Reggie Miller is on fire. Miller open again. His foot on the line. That's a two-pointer. And Reggie Miller in an animated discussion with Spike Lee, who is an ardent Knick fan and has a courtside seat. I think Spike has him revved up.
Did Spike get the adrenaline going? I know after the game, a lot of Knick fans blamed him, which he was upset about, for getting you even more sparked up.
A little bit he got me going, but, like I said, in his defense, he wasn't out there guarding me. John Starks was. Greg Anthony and those guys were guarding me. So it wasn't Spike. Did he add to it a little bit once I got rolling in the fourth quarter? Yeah, it became a little bit, like I said, more theatrical, but it wasn't all Spike.
Look at this shot. And he hits it. It's a three-pointer for Reggie Miller, who again is staring in the direction of, yes, that man.
I was young, I was brash, I said a lot of things, I did a lot of gestures. When you look back on them, I laugh at them, but it was good entertainment.
Miller's in his last four shots. Here's Miller for three. Yes! Oh, Pat Riley calls for time. Just an astounding shooting exhibition being put on by Reggie Miller.
To his credit, which I always tell people, there should be more Spike Lees in every arena because, good or bad, Spike Lee is the biggest fan for his particular team. And he wears his colors on his sleeve. And he was doing what he should do and trying to distract me.
5 for 5 from downtown in this fourth quarter as Reggie Miller spikes it to conclude matters.
And I think that's where the whole rivalry really began between Indiana and New York, was that Game 5. But
this was excellent preparation for your television career.
For you, it was great because
I loved it.
Listening to all the yeses from you, looking at all of them, it was definitely a highlight for me because, as many times as Larry Brown would roll it back and you keep hearing your yes.
Now, wait a second. I was always told that the coaches turned the sound out.
They don't. Just to let you know, Larry Brown. The yeses.
Yes. Yes. Were you analyzing the broadcast?
Yes,
or
I
just
was.
Yeah.
I was. Well, because I didn't know at some point in time we would be matched together. Marvelous.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It's all that brash stuff that got it going. All right, Reggie, you're back at Madison Square Garden in '95 as Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Semis, and the Knicks are up 105-99. Take me through what was going through your head on the floor at that moment.
We had the basketball. I knew if we got a quick three, I knew New York had no timeouts. So if we could come up with a quick steal, and get another three to tie the basketball game up, anything is possible.
Miller for three, and he got it. Reggie Miller with a clutch tray, and it's 105-102. And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line and hits again. Tie game.
And people talk about the infamous push on Greg Anthony. I say he was off balance. And I say it was incidental contact, but Anthony Mason threw the ball right to me. So my first inclination was to get behind the three and take a shot. Make or miss, because it could be a long rebound and we get the basketball back.
No need to foul in that situation.
And what's funny on that is people forget Sam Mitchell got caught up in the moment thinking we were still down, so he fouls John Starks as soon as the ball comes in. It was a tie ball game at the time. He didn't need to foul. But it worked out to our favor because John Starks missed both free throws. I get the rebound and they foul me, and then I make the 2 free throws for the 8 points in whatever, how many seconds you said.
Miller hits 2.
No timeouts.
Anthony stumbles and falls. Time runs out.
One of the most remarkable comebacks in all of basketball. They never gave up, and the Knicks gave them a chance.
After 4 failed trips to the Eastern Conference Finals, it was beginning to appear unlikely that Reggie Miller, despite all of his heroics, would ever break through and earn a chance to play for the NBA title. But when we return, the greatest Pacer of all time takes aim at the crown and takes Indiana on a wild ride back to where it all began for him. Inevitably, great players in team sports are judged, failure or not, by the number of titles that they have won. Reggie Miller was already considered one of the greatest long-range shooters in NBA history and had repeatedly turned in dramatic clutch performances in the postseason, only to come up just short of the NBA Finals. With Indiana native Larry Bird now at the helm in 2000, Reggie and his Pacers made one last heroic bid to claim the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Now, after losing to the Knicks again in '99, did you allow yourself to think that perhaps the NBA Finals were just not meant to be for you and the Pacers?
No, because I knew we had too talented of a team. And what better way for us than to beat New York to move on to the finals? Because some kind of way you had to put your demons to rest.
Reggie Miller with another dagger, darting back behind the three-point line and knocking it down. He has 26 against the team he says he hates, the team they had to beat to get to the final.
New York just so happened to be, our arch nemesis, our voodoo, and we had to get through them to get to the finals.
We're not coming in here to lay down. We're coming in here to shock the world.
Okay, Reggie, Daniel, how you doing? Okay, first time here, man. Hey, Mark, how are you?
And you broke through 2000. You go up against your hometown team, the Los Angeles Lakers. What was that like for you?
Going against, at the time, one of the greatest duos of all time, Kobe Bryant, and a very nimble Shaquille O'Neal, because he was unstoppable in that series. We had no answer for him. If I'd never made the playoffs or never made it to the conference finals, I'd probably be a little bit more upset, but I had so many chances to get there. That's all you ever want as a player, is just put me in those situations and give me the opportunity.
Reggie, what will it mean to you when the Basketball Hall of Fame comes calling and you join your sister Cheryl and all of the other greats of the game up in Springfield?
Well, that's a big if. People always talk about that, but I never want to jinx myself. I would be so honored and very fortunate to go in there with all the basketball greats. But personally, I don't want to look down that road because anything could possibly happen. But to make it into the Hall of Fame, that's obviously the biggest honor you could ever achieve, other than probably winning a championship, is being a part of a select elite group and have a chance to join Cheryl. That's a wonderful honor for the Miller family.
So in the interim, and it will happen, but now it's Reggie Miller.
Take one.
Television broadcaster and movie mogul, we should point out. I know you have a project that is moving along.
Yeah, we're in the AFI Film Festival here in Los Angeles. The name of the movie is Beautiful Ohio. It's our first film under Boom Baby Productions.
Boom, baby! Boom! 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 Boom!
Which we're really excited about. I think it's people are going to be surprised at the type of movie it is, because they're going to think of me and think of how I conduct myself, and they're going to be pleasantly surprised. But it's something that I've always wanted to do growing up here in California. I always wanted to get into producing movies, so we're excited that the AFI gave us the opportunity to premiere our movie.
In 1994, Reggie was a member of the U.S. team that won the gold medal at the World Championships of Basketball in Toronto. He also won a gold at the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Today, Reggie Miller remains revered in Indiana and no longer quite as reviled in the Big Apple. And though he completed his 18-year career without ever winning an NBA championship, his reputation and place in the game's history is secure. Much like Reggie, I too can sense the final moments of this show ticking away furiously. But instead of launching a 3 at the buzzer, we'll simply wrap things up. We thank you all for tuning in. And before we go, a reminder that next time I'll be talking with Dallas Mavericks superstar Dirk Nowitzki. And we may even get to the bottom of the entire controversy involving his favorite song by David Hasselhoff.
I wasn't kidding around about that I'll sing a song or hum a song. I'd do that like in big situations just to not freeze up. But the Hasselhoff thing, actually, I was kidding about.